Welcome, guys, to How the Frack We Got Here, a show that takes the news and events of the week and try to make sense out of it all. I'm your host, the most Will Buchanan, and on this show, we simply are all about the facts. There are plenty of news stations out there that simply want to do anything short but inform you. Here at How the Frack We Got Here, that's all we believe in. We go up to the left, we go up to the right, we go up to the middle of independence, we go up to all sides because there's more than one side of a story to everything. And you need to know it all in order to actually formulate your own opinion. And that's what we try to do here at How the Frack We Got Here. Thanks for listening, and hold on. It's going to be fun.
Vice President Julie Carr-Smythe from the Associated Press. I guess I'm going to be that person. There are some protesters outside accusing the GOP of protecting pedophiles, and we're wondering what you think are the reasons the U.S. government should shield the client list of Epstein from the public, and what you have to say about any relevance to that here today.
Well, let me say just a couple of things. First of all, the president has been very clear. We're not shielding anything. The president has directed the attorney general to release all credible information and, frankly, to go and find additional credible information related to the Jeffrey Epstein case. He's been incredibly transparent about that stuff, but some of that stuff takes time. You've got to assemble that stuff. You've got to compile that stuff. You've got to redact some victims' names so that you protect the victims. But the president has been very clear. He wants full transparency. He's asked that from the attorney general. And I know, because I talk to her all the time, the attorney general is hard at work on that issue right now.
Right. Hey guys, today's date, July 30, 2025, and this is How the Frack We Got Here. I'm your host, the most Will Buchanan. On How the Frack We Got Here, we do take the events of the week and try to make sense out of it all. Before we do get started, guys, let you know that we do pride ourselves on being a news podcast. We do cite from sources with the most credible reputations and award-winning in journalism. We do not do sensational news like Fox News, The Blaze, wherever extreme left or extreme right you get your views from. We simply do not do that. At the same time, guys, we do try to watch our language, but words do fly. At the same time, guys, there may be things that might be shown that might be too intense for younger viewers, so viewer discretion is advised. Aside from that, welcome. Well, what you saw was a line of BS from a missing vice president that's apparently now a salesman, JD, I wish I was Trump's ass Vance, who is, again, defending what will never, ever be, or I like to think, might be the turning point in finally getting those of the Red Hat cult to finally wake up and stop drinking the Kool-Aid. The Epstein files, as you say that we did talk about that, last week that, Trump lapdog, AG Pam Bondi, said, well, there's no Epstein files, and then walked that back and said, oh, well, there was, but my boss doesn't want me to release it. And then your boss said to release it, which kind of puts her in a very strange position. Either do your job or do exactly what your boss tells you to do, because you're pretty good at that. But anyway, Epstein files don't seem to leave Trump, and neither will his former assistant, who may or may not be trying to spring for a pay per play per se.
News, Ghislaine Maxwell is expected to meet this morning with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, once Donald Trump's criminal defense attorney. Blanche said he wants to know if Ghislaine Maxwell has information about anyone who has committed crimes against victims. Her attorney said Ghislaine will always testify truthfully. She was convicted of sex trafficking and enabling Epstein's abuse of women and girls. She was sentenced to 20 years in prison and has been trying to get out on appeal ever since. Trump supporters have been clamoring for the release of more information about Epstein, but earlier this month, Attorney General Pam Bondi said she was turning off the spigot. The Wall Street Journal reports Bondi and Blanche informed the president in May his name appears multiple times in the Epstein files. The paper reports they told Trump they did not plan to release them because they contained child pornography and personal information about victims. Trump deferred to their decision. Last week, Trump denied Bondi told him his name was in the files.
Did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
She's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen.
The next day, Trump ignored the question.
Is your name in these files, Mr. President? Is that why they aren't being fully released?
Let's go. Thank you, press. Come on. Hey, thank you.
The Wall Street Journal reports other high-profile individuals were also named in the Epstein files, but appearing in them is not indicative of wrongdoing. Trump and Epstein were friendly for more than a decade. When Epstein was arrested in 2019, Trump said they had a falling out and hadn't spoken in 15 years. The Attorney General now says nothing in the files warranted further investigation or prosecution, and we have filed a motion in court to unseal the underlying grand jury transcripts. But a federal judge in Florida declined to release grand jury information, which is supposed to remain secret, saying the court's hands are tied. 2 judges in New York are also considering similar requests. Maxwell's meeting here today comes as she is appealing her conviction, and the Justice Department just last week urged the U.S. Supreme Court to reject that appeal. Michael?
Yeah.
All I can say on that note, Kendrick Lamar's song is about to start making moves again. Probably struck a chord, and it's probably A minor. It never ceased to amaze me that Epstein doesn't seem to go away. Although Taco wants it badly to go away, especially now because the story in itself keeps getting worse. Where it's like, oh, well, Pam Bondi has informed Taco that his name does appear in the files that didn't exist, that were once on our desk, that she said she was going to look into, that she says there wasn't a file, but now there is a file with many names, including Taco's, but they can't release it because the victims' names are in there. Ring, ding, 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 ding. I'm just saying, it's one big-ass circle if you think about it. But yes, now that Epstein's former assistant, Miss Maxwell, is saying, oh, I will tell you everything you would like to know. I don't know why I gave her an English accent. I will tell you everything that you would like to know. I want immunity. That was the thing. She was going to sit there and say, I will testify to everything if you give me immunity. To where now every court, including the Supreme Court, going, no, we can't. We shan't do that. And it's amazing to me how Taco thinks he's safe. I don't think he can get away. Look, I know we said, well, when Taco was facing mortgage fraud in Manhattan, voter election fraud in Georgia, documentation tampering at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida, we thought that's 3 bullets you just cannot dodge. At least one got him. The Manhattan fraud case got him. To which, again, unfortunately, that can't be enforced because we don't believe in prosecuting our presidents, which is bullshit. And the election case fraud in Georgia got put down. Why? Because we can't prosecute our president, which is bullshit. And then the one in Florida, which quietly got put down because we can't prosecute our president, which is bullshit. I said it 3 times. But I thought those 3 bullets would take him out. At least one, if not all 3. Legally speaking, not the metaphorical way, but not the actual legal way of taking him out. But you get my point. The thing I'm getting at is now the Epstein files, because what was that? His entire base that he told his cult, oh, the Epstein files must be released. We must get to the heart of this matter. The JFK files must be released. The Martin Luther King files must be released. We have to get to the bottom of this. And now that he has the ability to open the floodgates, wait a minute, we need to do some checking. And I'm sorry. Here's my thing that doesn't. If you are not guilty as you say you are, release the files. What do you got to lose? Because that's what I would think. If I have nothing to lose, and I know I wasn't on this island with underage minors basically being predators. If I know I didn't do it, release the files. But other names have came up, release the files. I don't care if Jesus and the 12 apostles are on that list, release the files. Because again, we've always suspected that the reason why Jeffrey Epstein had so much power was because he had dirt on a lot of powerful people. And when you got dirt on a lot of powerful people, you either come up missing or you disappear. Don't believe me? Ask Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff didn't steal from the rich. He stole from the really rich. and they still cannot account for the money that he moved to wherever it is. And so where's Bernie Madoff right now? In jail. So, again, if Taco has nothing to lose, release the files. But now that Miss Maxwell is thinking about singing like a canary, of course, Taco was asked during his trip in Scotland, well, would you pardon the former assistant to Jeffrey Epstein? Well, we shouldn't be surprised by his answer.
Does the president completely rule out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell who landed? Is that something you would ever consider, and why?
Pardon for who?
For Ghislaine Maxwell.
Well, I'm allowed to give her a pardon, but nobody's approached me with it. Nobody's asked me about it. It's in the news about that aspect of it, but right now it would be inappropriate to talk about it. So.
And all I can sit there and say is, folks, it is amazing. Well, it would be inappropriate to talk about it. No, because it's an honest question. You pardoned everyone. You pardoned all of your terrorist buddies from the January 6th insurrection to where domestic terrorism occurred. You pardoned everybody that was involved, hurting or maiming Capitol Police, destroying public property, bulldozing the Capitol. You pardoned everybody. So now that it becomes Miss Maxwell is saying, I deserve a pardon if I speak. If I've testified to everything I know, I want full immunity. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, I don't know if I could do that. Isn't it amazing how Taco believes he can pardon people, but when it comes down to those that he says he can't pardon, that immediately he gets lost for words? Immediately lost for words. And I keep saying, and here's one thing I'm discovering that I'm pretty sure you and the audience are discovering as well. If we wait long enough, Taco will tell on himself. He has. Even more so in this audio clip from Air Force One, when he had said the reason why him and Epstein had a falling out was over workers. But just listen to how it was said.
On Mar-a-Lago, you're saying that Jeffrey Epstein poached two of your staffers. Who were they? Were they young?
I don't want to say two, or I don't want to say any number. You're talking about many years ago. But yeah, he took people. And because he took people, I said, don't do it anymore. You know, they work for me. And he took, beyond that, he took some others. And once he did that, that was the end of him. I didn't like, when they steal people, I don't like it.
Mr. President, Epstein has a certain reputation, obviously. I'm just curious, were some of the workers that were taken from you, were some of them young women?
Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken. And it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were.
Yes, they were young women?
What did they do? In the spa.
In the spa?
Yeah, people that work in the spa. I have a great spa, one of the best spas in the world at Mar-a-Lago. And people were taken out of the spa, hired by him. In other words, gone. And other people would come and complain, this guy is taking people from the spa. I didn't know that. And then when I heard about it, I told them, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want him taking people. And he was fine. And then not too long after that, he did it again. And I said, out of here.
Mr. President, did one of those stolen, persons, that include Virginia Jeffrey?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah. He stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know. None whatsoever.
As I said, if we wait long enough, Taco will tell on himself. Because now he's saying, oh, well, they were young women that worked in a spa and he took them. If I was a reporter, I'm like, are you sure that's the statement you want to go with? I mean, he sounds like a creepy ass old man, but he is a predator and a convicted felon. I just want to keep pointing that out. But yes, I keep saying this all the time. And now the Epstein files aren't going away. They aren't. Because right now, his base is feeling betrayed. They got duped by a con man. They can't, they don't take much. But the point I'm getting at is they feel betrayed. It's like, we voted for you to find out the truth. And now you're basically turning into the one thing you said you would not become. You played us. And I can just see Trump going, I'm a con man. What do you expect? At the same time, it's not going away. And Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice has a problem. And the problem is, if you, actually, there's no way about it. If she does move forward and release the files, like everybody possibly suspects, that there are a bunch of monsters, and I can't say the word I want to say, that there are a bunch of monsters on that list. And again, I'm going to put it this way. If you allegedly go to an island, allegedly messing with underage kids, and you yourself are in a position of power, you deserve to be exposed. You deserve to have the spotlight shined on you so bright for the monster that you are. You should be. And I love how someone says, there's a lot of powerful people on that list. Maybe they need to fall. Maybe America needs to take a hit in order to heal. Because if that list is of people that went to his islands for these parties to mess with underage kids, and I do say kids, messing with underage teenagers, I'm just saying they deserve to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. They do. Or if I had it my way, no, let's not say that, because then I'll be put on a list. But because, I believe that pedophiles should be handled a different way. But again, that's a whole nother podcast. That being said, we will wait and see what happens with this whole case. Because as much as Taco has tried to throw every distraction, he has tried. He threw every distraction he can out there. Release the Martin Luther King files. Yes, we know the government admitted a long time ago there was a plot to assassinate Martin Luther King. It's been widely publicated. Release the JFK files. We are not playing the grassy knoll and was there another shooter? Well, Obama, Clinton, Biden, you can throw everything that you want. You cannot get the spotlight off of you if you tried. You cannot get the spotlight off of you. Because why? You deserve it. So again, we will see what happens and how the Epstein files will either finally sink this incredibly dumb experiment known as the Taco presidency, or will he somehow dodge it? Because like I said, there were 3 cases pinned against him that should have gotten him jail time and then some. And because he managed to convince more people to vote for him, those 3 cases went away. I'm not saying it's possible. I'm just saying it's a possibility. But there is also one thing we can say during the Taco administration, that he legally accepted a bribe from the seat of the presidency, and nothing will happen to him in the form of a freaking Qatar plane.
Because they formally accepted a luxury 747 as a gift from the government of Qatar for use as Air Force One. The gift raises ethical and national security questions. Our chief Washington correspondent, John Carl, is here in our studio with us with the story. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Michael. That's right. The Pentagon has made it official. The Trump administration is accepted that lavish 747-8 jumbo jet known as the Flying Palace, as we first reported here on ABC News, as a gift from the government of Qatar to be used as Air Force One.
President Trump brushed aside security and ethical concerns about his administration accepting the luxury jet as a gift from Qatar.
They're giving the United States Air Force a jet, okay? And it's a great thing.
A Pentagon spokesman says the gift, which is so lavish it's known as a Flying Palace, was accepted in, quote, accordance with all federal rules and regulations. The plane's value is estimated at as much as $400 million, but it will take millions more in taxpayer dollars to modify it to meet Air Force requirements to operate as the presidential aircraft. although some of the president's Republican allies have raised questions about accepting such a big gift from a country with ties to China, Iran, and even Hamas. President Trump says there is nothing wrong with it.
Some people say, oh, you shouldn't accept gifts for the country. My attitude is, why wouldn't I accept the gift? We're giving to everybody else. Why wouldn't I accept the gift?
The Constitution bans any federal office holder from receiving a gift from any king, prince, or foreign state without the consent of Congress. As ABC News first reported, Attorney General Pam Bondi signed off on a plan for the Air Force to accept the plane as a gift and then transfer ownership to Trump's Presidential Library Foundation shortly before he leaves office. How that would work is unclear. The Pentagon referred questions to the Air Force saying, quote, details related to the contract are classified. The deal infuriating Democrats.
This gift screams national security risk. It is bribery in broad daylight. Donald Trump is thumbing his nose at Republicans and practically daring them to stop him.
Some Republicans have made it clear they don't like the idea of accepting this plane as a gift either. As for the details about the transfer of the plane to the presidential library, the White House press secretary told me that the intention is still to have that plane go to the library, but the details will be ironed out later.
So what's crazy is we saw a bribe. We saw a bribe. It literally says in the Constitution, you cannot accept gifts from kings, of royalty, of any kind. You cannot accept a gift while in the office of presidency from those individuals. And what does Taco do? Taco's going to accept this flying palace only because, well, he's a compromised president. They own him. Don't think that Qatar and Saudi Arabia don't own a piece of this man. They do. Look at Trump Towers in New York or anywhere else. Wherever there's Trump Towers, wherever there's apartments in Trump Towers, best believe they're also there. At the same time, using a Qatar plane as Air Force One, here's the problem. That, number one, the immense undertaking, and I say undertaking, that plane is going to be stripped all the way down to the bare frame. And then the bare frame is going to get ripped apart. Every piece of that plane is going to go over meticulously. Why? Because we don't know what's in it. And the sole reason why it's such a security risk, because you don't know what is in that plane when it's delivered. You don't know what is in that plane when it's taken apart. You're not even sure after thoroughly going through it and reassembled, can you say without 100% certainty that is a secure plane that the president has to fly on? You can't say that. No defense person, no mechanic will be sitting there saying, no, you could have years with that plane and still not be 100% sure whether or not it is clean. But at the same time, the problem you're going to run into is that he accepted a bribe. He accepted a bribe. And it's just like, again, I don't know what it is about our country, but this is the reason. And I said this before, it's also the reason why some white people feel empowered to really act crazy or, think that nothing will happen to them. It's because a level of security. You know why some white folks will walk up to a person like me and start talking to me like they're the police and think that they won't get checked in the mouth? Because they think because I use manners and I carry myself, that surely I'm not going to knock them in between the eyes. Safety. In the same sense where Taco believes he can act and do whatever he wants because the Republican base, which holds majorities in the Senate and the House, will do nothing against him. They will do nothing. If anything, they will defend it. But trust and believe, anytime any one of them has ever spoken out against Taco, they have not lasted long. Look at everybody that's spoken opposition against him. And trust me, if you don't think Rand Paul is going to run into any issues after the fact that he was one of the very few standouts for the bill that Taco is so proud of, he's one of the few standouts that he voted no. Do not think for 1 second that in the midterms, Republicans will not be trying to replace him in Kentucky. Don't think for 1 second, because again, anybody that goes up against the Führer must be repealed. Did you just call Taco a Nazi? Yes, because it's Nazi behavior. It is. It's fascist behavior. At the same time, the fact that he thinks he can just walk around and do things because he can is dictatorish. And at the same time, the fact that he's going against things because he believes, along with certain others out there, that this is not the way it should be for everybody, is fascism. So again, the fact that he is taking bribes in the form of planes from foreign dignitaries, the fact that he might be on a list for the Epstein files, but I promise you, as long as certain people are in power, those files will never see the light of day, because it's safety. That's why a lot of people are infatuated with this man. They think that he can do whatever he wants without recourse because he can, not understand the fact that this man has layers of safety, because the ones that are with him, the same Republican Party, will do nothing, because if they do, they will be removed. If that is not a fascist government, I don't know what is. But moving right along, guys, RFK, unfortunately, our Secretary of freaking Health, has decided that, hey, we have a preventative services task force. What happens? I think we need to get rid of them. Now, what I mean by that is there is a committee that actually goes over the fact of things that you would get, like shots to prevent certain diseases, vaccines that you would usually get. They're usually people that decide on these things. And sometimes they decide, sometimes things that you usually get, like for cancer screenings or tests for diseases or diabetes, which is usually either very low cost or free to the public. Well, RFK has decided we might not need that. Now, keep in mind, it's RFK. And I'm trying to be very nice about RFK. I'm trying to be nice, and nice is a relative term when it comes to that doofus. But the fact that him being the health secretary, that again, these are preventative. You're talking cancer screenings, HIV medications, osteoporosis testing. I can keep going down the list. These are the things that actually can help provide better lives for people through early detection. And anybody that's ever seen cancer, had cancer, or known someone that has cancer or any of those types of diseases, the earlier you can detect it, the better your chances are beating it. But what kills me is you have RFK, a known anti-vaxxer, literally ripping apart Health and Human Services to basically refill it with conspiracy nuts, tinfoil hats, and anti-vaxxers. And that's what he's going to do with this one. Because again, he hasn't made a decision on whether or not that he wants to get rid of this task force. But again, this is why I sit there and say the problem with America, outside of its many issues, but the problem with America, number one, is the fact that you have our health. And why is it that whenever it comes to our health, whenever it comes to our health, we have to deal with this doofus, because this doofus believes that, oh, well, we don't need that. Yes, we do. We do need that. We do need that. We do need to have preventative options put in. We do need to have multiple ways of getting things in there as far as preventive medicines and tests and things of that nature. There is a reason why it's all there. But what kills me out of all this is he believes, from an anti-vaxxer standpoint, no, we don't need it because, I believe, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physician, I'm not a research scientist, I am not any of these things except a guy that goes out and decides to take up dead carcasses and study them in my home. I am a guy that swims in amoeba-filled creeks with just swimming in a creek, not thinking about the fact of what's in it. Also, I'm the guy who has brain lesions. At the same time, sounds like I need to clear my throat every 5 seconds. I'm sorry. It's like, you know what it is? It's like a person that smokes cigarettes who doesn't believe in emphysema that fired the Surgeon General because he didn't like his warning on cigarettes. That's RFK in so many ways. But moving right along, guys, I would say Taco has another problem. Taco has another problem in the form of the Federal Reserve. Specifically the chairman, Mr. Powell, because today it was announced that the Fed will not be cutting interest rates. So Taco's decided to take a trip across the way.
President Trump will take a rare and potentially confrontational trip across the street to the Federal Reserve. For months, the president has attacked Fed Chair Jerome Powell, demanding that he lower interest rates. Trump, who appointed Powell in his first term, says that he's been too slow to lower the rates and has called him names like numbskull and stupid person. And the president has also threatened to fire the Fed chair, whose term expires actually in May of next year. White House correspondent Karen Travers joining us now. All right, the last president to visit the Federal Reserve was George W. Bush in 2006, and that was for a swearing-in ceremony. So what's going on, Karen?
Yeah, I mean, Kira, you have to look at this visit as potentially a hostile event for President Trump to go there and put more pressure on Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. The president in recent weeks has really increased his pressure on Powell, calling on him to resign, saying that the end of his term next May cannot come soon enough. But when he was asked about firing Powell, he said he wouldn't rule it out, but did say it was highly unlikely. That said, Kira, the president certainly seems to be laying the groundwork for trying to find a reason to fire Powell and fire him for cause. The administration has been keying in on this $2.5 billion renovation at the Federal Reserve that's been underway for many years. The costs have increased there, and Powell has said it's because of the cost of materials and some unforeseen conditions that need to be addressed at these two historic buildings. But the White House senior officials here have criticized Powell and say essentially that this is his fault that this project has gotten out of control. The president last week even indicated that there could be fraud here committed by the Federal Reserve Chairman. I asked him if he was calling for an investigation into Powell, and the president said he thought he was already under investigation. Kira, he is not. The White House hasn't said what he is doing there today, whether he's going to be viewing this renovation project or meeting with Jerome Powell. But Kira, you said it. This is very rare. He will just be the fourth president, George W. Bush, Gerald Ford, and FDR, to make a visit to the Federal Reserve.
Now, what's so interesting about this, folks, is that, number one, the fact that Taco is kind of like going to the Federal Reserve is like, okay, it's like talking with your bank. And I'm not saying the Federal Reserve is like a bank. I mean, they do set the interest rates and records for all banks and the FDIC to follow. But what I'm getting at is Taco is saying, I need you to cut the rates. No, because your plan is the reason why we have to keep the rates at what they are, to keep things down. Because if we raise them up, then everything spirals out. No, that's not how it works. I want you to cut the rates. I'm sorry, Mr. President. It's not going to happen the way you want it to. And I imagine that's probably going to be the conversation they're having when he goes to visit the Federal Reserve. And the reason why I point this out, guys, because if you haven't seen this clip I'm about to play, this was just last week when Taco and Mr. Powell and America's favorite Uncle Tom, Senator Tim Scott, were at the construction of a building, and let's just say the numbers didn't agree among everybody.
We're taking a look, and it looks like it's about 3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
It just came out.
This came from us?
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added
our entire capital.
Yeah, you just added in a third building. Is what that is. That's a third building.
Well, no, but it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
It's not new.
So we're going to take a look. We're going to see what's happening, and it's got a long way. Do you expect any more additional cost overruns?
Don't expect them. We're ready for them, but we have a little bit of a reserve that we may use. But no, we don't expect to be finished in 2027. We're well along, as you can see.
Nice to take these off every once in a while when we're not under too much danger.
As a real estate developer, what would you do with a project manager who would be over budget?
Generally speaking, what would I do? I'd fire him.
What's so crazy about this? First off, shout out to Jerome Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve. That man, first off, stand on business. Stand on business. Call him out on his shit. I am not knocking you for that. That is like, you just see what Taco loves. And above all else, Taco loves this. He loves to spout numbers, big numbers. Oh, we got this. We're getting 3.1 billion. And then, Uncle Tom, Senator Tim Scott over there. Yeah, boss. It'd be about 3.2 billion, boss. It'd be about 3.2 billion. That's what he sounds like. And at the same time, shout out to Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell. No, that ain't right. That includes the expansion of the Martin building. Oh, well, and he keeps on trying to, well, I mean, you sure? Yeah. I'm the guy that runs the numbers. Of course I'm sure. It is amazing to me that even the reporter, well, as a former real estate developer, do you really want to give Taco that type of puffing up his chest? That man didn't do anything except screw over contractors, workers, and everybody else. Ask the people behind Trump Steaks, Trump Vodka, Trump Airlines, Trump University, the people that were employed under those so-called wonderful businesses who had to sue to get paid for their work because Taco screwed them. But you're going to sit there and give that man a soundbite. What would I do with a project manager that went over budget? I fire him. Okay, we know. The Celebrity Apprentice. You're used to saying you're fired. You were a failed reality star. You're a failed president. And now the head of the Fed called you out. And now you want to go take a trip like you're the principal going to meet with a teacher about getting the star football player back on the squad because they failed them. At the same time, you don't think for 1 second, and I say this all the time, don't think for 1 second that Taco won't find a way because they're already trying. Oh, well, there may be a review on the Federal Reserve. Some of the Republicans are already calling for it. Taco is trying to consider whether or not he can fire him. Newsflash, can't. The president can't just fire people like it's a business. Government is not run like a business. It takes congressional action to remove the chair of the Federal Reserve. Congressional action. As much as Taco would love to think he can fire everybody like he does from his job, unfortunately, you being the presidential seat does not give you the ability to just fire and hire people willy-nilly. Although at the same time, it is amazing how no one is talking about ketamine Elon and the fact that you basically gave him an entire government department, even though he wasn't elected, even though he bypassed several laws, and yet somehow did enough damage, got enough contracts for his companies, and then dipped. So it amazes me that Taco is now thinking he can go to the Federal Reserve and throw his weight around. And all I can sit there and say is, Mr. Powell, stand on business. It's fun to watch him actually crumble when actual numbers and facts are being presented. Moving right along, guys. Texas, outside of many other states, because again, we said on How the Frack We Got Here, next year is the midterms. And Texas has a problem. Texas has a problem in the form of a strong black woman, Representative Jasmine Crockett, who in my mind is as wonderfully intelligent, very smart, very witty, and has no problem backing up what she says with facts and logic. The reason why Texas, currently the Republican majority-led Texas Congress, legislative Congress down there, they're afraid of this woman because she doesn't back down for shit. And again, they also realize not everybody's happy about Taco's bill that doesn't help them. Texas, along with Tennessee, along with Kentucky, along with Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, basically that entire South end is not going to be happy when that bill comes out, especially when it hits in the Medicare and SNAP benefits areas. But alas, Republicans are supposed to have a backup plan. And what's their backup plan? Along with Governor Abbott, they want to redraw the districts of Texas. And why? To keep a black woman from gaining more power.
Texas Republicans are looking to redraw congressional lines in the coming weeks. The changes would benefit the GOP and could help them keep control of the House in the midterms. But California Governor Gavin Newsom says if that happens in Texas, he'll follow suit for his state, drawing new lines that benefit Democratic lawmakers. ABC News political director Avery Harper is here for more on this. So, Avery, let's start with Texas. What is it that they want to do, and how dramatic could the impact be on the midterms?
Right. Well, typically we see states redraw their congressional lines once every 10 years to accommodate for population shifts. And the last time Texas did this was back in 2021. So this would definitely be revisiting those maps early. And we know that this comes amid pressure from President Trump for Texas lawmakers to redraw those maps in hopes of trying to gain some seats in congressional districts in that state that would help him maintain control of Congress. We know that the midterms can be tough for the president's party. And we know whoever is going to be in control of Congress could be a hindrance or a boon to the Trump agenda. So that's what we're seeing happen here. That's going to be taking place during a special legislative session that has been called in Congress. And lawmakers are going to be gathering for a public hearing on that this afternoon.
And just bring this down to basics. When you say that they redraw the lines every 10 years to accommodate for population shifts, can you just explain a little bit more what that means and why they do that?
Right. They do that after the census that happens every decade, right? And so typically, you know, all the lawmakers represent a certain amount of citizens of this country. And so then we see them redraw those maps in order to accommodate for those population shifts. So some states might get more seats, other states might lose seats.
Because there are more people that live here now than before, fewer people than live here now from before.
Exactly. So this is definitely not that. This is something that is politically motivated, and we're seeing lawmakers on both sides of the aisle speak out about that.
Why could this go beyond Texas? Like, where does California now get involved?
Right. So Gavin Newsom, who we all know could potentially run for president in 2028, he has said if Texas moves forward with this, that he could instruct lawmakers in his state to redraw those lines to benefit Democrats. We've also seen other governors like Illinois Governor Pritzker. He signaled openness to counterbalance whatever happens in Texas. And even in Washington, D.C., we've seen Democratic leadership, people like Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi say that they want to keep all their options on the table to have Democrats try and counterbalance what could happen in Texas. And that could be redrawing congressional lines in states across the country. So we could see a battle really brewing here between red and blue states.
All right.
So what's amazing is the fact that Republicans want to move the goalposts. Because let's be honest, folks are honestly getting tired of what's happening. And Republicans can't sit there and blame it on Biden anymore. They can't blame it on Biden's policies because they're running the show. You can't blame it on anybody else but yourself, and they're having a hard time trying to defend themselves. So what's left? Oh, well, we don't want a blue wave to happen we don't want a blue wave to happen in the next year. We don't need it to happen. So what are we going to do? We are going to redraw the districts to where the districts will be more in our favor, because that's what's trying to do in Texas. Jasmine Crockett and many others have already sat there and said this, that if they try to redraw the districts to where they can get more Republican politicians on deck, then that pushes people like her out. And they're fighting it because, let's be honest, Republicans, much like most napkins who see themselves at the top of the food chain, don't realize that the demographics of this country are going to change in the next 20 years, 10 years at least. That what was the majority will now be the minority, and vice versa. And there are some out there who, honestly, above all else, are afraid. Because, when you've been on top for so long, it's a little bit hard to leave the penthouse when you go to the ground floor. But, again, Democrats are doing the same thing because it's never been done before. I mean, yes, redistricting does happen. Thank you for following me so far. Redistricting does happen when the population increases. Why? To ensure that fair coverage across the state for every person that's elected is actually representing a group of people in that same area. It's supposed to happen. The problem is what the Republicans are thinking. They're thinking out of fear for the midterms. It's out of fear because let's be honest, Texas may actually become progressive. Tennessee, and I know I've said this before, Tennessee may actually become progressive, only because people have voted conservative their whole lives, not realized why their lives haven't gotten any better. It's because you shot yourselves in the foot and reloaded. Mississippi's education's in the toilet, yet they vote red every election. Kentucky, I think, is almost Kentucky's almost first in welfare and SNAP benefits, almost first, and they vote conservative every time. I can keep going down the list, but education, all lows. But everything else, again, it amazes me that conservative states aren't doing better. I mean, again, numbers don't lie. Conservative states do poorly. Progressive or democratic states do better. At the same time, it'll be interesting to see how Texas responds. Because if a lot of these southern states turn blue, because we saw Georgia turn blue, even for a special election, for a special election and for Biden's election, we saw Georgia turn blue and give Georgia its first black senator. So again, it's possible, but trust and believe when I say Republicans are fucking panicking. Speaking of panicking, guys, we talked about tacos, tariffs, and what would happen with grocery stores, that we kept on saying that prices will fluctuate. Well, thanks to digital devices, that fear has come true.
Now to your money, and more supermarkets are using digital ads, meaning the price you pay can change several times per day.
The price of your groceries may soon change right in front of your eyes. A glimpse of what shoppers could soon see is already on display in Europe, where the Wall Street Journal found prices at some grocery stores can change up to 100 times per day. The technology behind it? Digital shelf labels, small electronic screens that can instantly display new prices at the push of a button, and they're being used more and more across the U.S. Walmart has installed digital tags in more than 400 locations, with plans to reach 2,300 stores by next year. Kroger and Whole Foods are expanding pilot programs as well. It's fueling fears of surge pricing.
Like charging more for ice cream when it's a hot day or for an umbrella when it's a rainy day.
Senators Elizabeth Warren and Bob Casey have sent a letter to Kroger warning the labels could be used to squeeze consumers to increase profits. But the company insists the labels won't be used for surge pricing. Companies say the tags help cut back on time-consuming labor. Walmart says it used to take 2 full days to update prices across the store. With digital tags, just minutes.
Sometimes a lot of these folks are only working 20, 25 hours a week. This is a heavy labor-intensive job.
In a recent study, researchers found virtually no surge pricing after electronic labels were installed, finding the labels actually increase the likelihood of consumers getting discounts. But skepticism remains. Maine and Rhode Island have introduced bills to limit the use of digital labels. And in Arizona, a state lawmaker introduced a bill to ban digital tags entirely.
One expert says he expects the pricing changes will be infrequent or outside of store hours.
You can say it all you want to. And again, this is just, everybody's like, well, that's not so bad. I mean, you ever been to a store where the tag isn't there and you were wondering what the price was and you didn't have the app on your phone or you don't believe in using apps. So I think it's pretty cool that you can just look down and there's the price, and it might change with the day, but they said that they don't do surge pricing. If you don't believe that these mega chain grocery stores will not maximize profits on things that include tariffs, you out your doggone mind. And what I mean by that is, okay, I'll use this for a plain example, right? If everything in your store was literally digitized by pricing that can be changed at the touch of a button, like the example says, prices could fluctuate on a daily basis, and it's theoretically possible. There could also be surge pricing. Let's just say Oh, I don't know. Let's say your produce took a hit because of a natural disaster. Let's say your produce took a hit because workers that were happily employed now have to worry about the Gestapo ice being picked up. And now those fields are not getting plucked the way they used to, or they're being supplied with workers who don't work as well as your previous employees did. So now your crops and things of that nature and profits might be lower. What does that mean? That means, well, those digital tags that are on that produce right there could surge up. So let's just say strawberries. I'll use strawberries and bananas. Let's say there was a shortage of strawberries and bananas. That it might take some time for the market to recover and pricing to go down. Do not think for 1 second those digital tags will not be used for their intention. Those digital tags will be used to sit there and say, okay, we're gonna change the prices as they go up. The point I'm getting at here, folks, is it's possible. And because, again, if the technology is there, so's the possibility. And, you know, the funny part is spokespeople for grocery stores can say this all they want to, but I will always say this: grocery stores, morticians, daycares never have slow days. They are three of the most, if not on a top 10 list of mandatory things required in life. Those three things are it, and they never have slow days. But they always, more importantly, will have increased prices due to something. Just saying. But moving right along before we get to the American Eagle bullshit, Ryan Walters has a problem. Remember the superintendent for Oklahoma that was so pro-Trump that he wanted to buy Trump Bibles and put them in his schools? The same guy that wanted to put in the 10 Commandments right along with the pledge to be said by everybody who wasn't Christian. He's got a little bit of a problem right now. And I've always said it best. Whenever it comes to this problem, it's always the religious ones.
Process is now getting underway following bombshell allegations against State Superintendent Ryan Walters. 2 state school board members insist they saw images of naked women on a TV in Walters' office.
The same man who for years has claimed school libraries are full of books containing porn and vowed to remove them. These shocking claims first came to light this afternoon in a report by the Oklahoman and then the online publication Non-Doc.
Now, Walters has not directly addressed the allegations, but already Oklahoma's top Republican lawmakers say it's time to find out the facts about this. News 4's Spencer Humphrey picks it up from here. Spencer?
Yeah, guys, State Superintendent Ryan Walters, of course, is famous for his unfounded claims alleging schools were showing students porn and that he was going to get rid of it. Well, tonight, 2 members of Oklahoma's state school board say it wasn't in a school where they saw graphic nude images being played, but rather on a TV inside Ryan Walters' own office during an official state meeting. Now, the state is investigating, and a warning, the details we're about to share are graphic. A bombshell headline from the Oklahoman Friday. Oklahoma State School Board members claiming they saw images of naked women playing on a TV inside State Superintendent Ryan Walters' office during Thursday's State School Board meeting. Board members Ryan Dethridge and Becky Carson telling the Oklahoman it all happened during the closed session portion of the meeting while a family was appealing a school transfer denial before Walters and the board. As the family talked, Dethridge and Carson say they looked up and saw those nude images playing on a TV mounted on a wall directly behind Walters. I was just in shock, Dethridge told the Oklahoman. I was being human and I didn't know what to think. Carson dumbfounded too, telling the Oklahoman every part of the women's bodies were completely exposed and easy to make out, saying, I saw them just walking across the screen and I'm like, no, what in the world am I watching? Dethridge later told Non-Doc it appeared the women in the video were on top of some sort of chiropractic table. And Carson told the Oklahoman it looked like it was made in the 60s maybe. The Oklahoman reports Carson immediately confronted Walters after the family left the room. I was so disturbed by it, Carson told the Oklahoman. I was like, what is that on your TV? I was very stern, like I'd been a mother or a classroom teacher. And I said, what am I watching? Turn it off now. Deathridge told the Oklahoman Walters immediately stood up and turned it off, never acknowledging or apologizing for what happened. Carson telling non-doc Walters blew it off, acting like he'd just been caught in an embarrassing situation. On Friday, Deathridge and Carson both told the Oklahoman, given Walters' history of threatening to strip teachers of their certificates for much lesser offenses, they'd like to consider stripping Walters of his teaching certification, something attorney and former state school board member Tim Gilpin also thinks could be appropriate.
You know, if this had been a teacher, I'm pretty certain that they would have been immediately suspended and proceedings would have been brought to review it. And then if it turned out to be true, they'd be dismissed.
We found Oklahoma's state employment policy strictly prohibits state employees from accessing obscene or sexually explicit material on state devices. The policy saying failure to comply could lead to disciplinary action up to and including termination of employment. On Friday, Oklahoma Senate President Pro Tem Lonnie Paxton announced the state's Office of Management and Enterprise Services is opening its own investigation inquiry. Paxton saying the board members' accounts of what happened paint a strange, unsettling scene that demands clarity and transparency. House Speaker Kyle Hilbert also saying an expeditious third-party review is warranted. I urge the state superintendent to unlock and turn over all relevant devices and fully cooperate with an investigation.
Superintendent Walters needs to address it honestly and frankly as quickly as possible. Because we certainly do not need a state official, certainly the superintendent of public education, doing these kinds of things.
We reached out to Walters' office, but nobody responded to us. An OSDE spokesperson did respond to the Oklahoman, calling their report a junk tabloid lie, sending them a statement saying any number of people have access to these offices. You have a hostile board who will say and do anything except tell the truth. And now the Wocklahoman, as the spokesperson wrote it, is reporting on an alleged random TV cable image. And we reached out to Deathridge and Carson, and both say everything in the Oklahoman that they reported is accurate. Deathridge told us as an appointed member of the Oklahoma State School Board, it is my top priority to protect the well-being of Oklahoma students. We hold educators to the strictest of standards when it comes to explicit material. The standard for the superintendent should be no different. And Carson told us, I was appointed to the State Board of Education to serve Oklahoma students to the best of my ability. The images that the board members were exposed to yesterday in this meeting were inappropriate, to say the least. There has to be accountability. And Kevin and Jolene, I'll send it back over to you guys for even more reaction.
So what's crazy is, yes, that guy who swore up and down, we want to bring, religion back into schools, all these things, was caught in his office by two board members of pornography-like images on his television, on his TV. And of course, Mr. Walters was like, you didn't see anything. It amazes me so that, there needs to be an investigation. Plus, if it's educational equipment, it's all tagged and keylogged. It won't take much for somebody in IT to go, okay, let's just bring it back up to history. Because, idiots like that never delete their search history. And if they thought about it, then dear God, you probably scare yourself with half the stuff they look at. The thing I'm getting at is, it's always them. It is always them. These are the same people that cried about drag queen storytime hours, saying that, we don't want to expose our children or get them to turn and be members of the LGBTQ plus community. When drag time story hour was nowhere in that realm. And I wouldn't stand on it. I'll stand on it. I love drag queen reading hours, or depending on where you are, depending on your state and where it's at. But either way, folks that love to come and read to kids, because reading is fundamental. Reading helps you think. Reading is what conservatives hate. Just saying. But I would rather my children be at a drag queen reading hour than with so-called religious leaders. Because it's always religious leaders that are caught with the child pornography. It's always religious leaders that are caught being abusers. It's always religious leaders that are caught with, being sexual deviants. I have yet to see a drag queen get caught in the same position a so-called man of faith is. The point I'm getting at here is, it's always them. The repressed, ultra-religious folks that are always screaming about, we need Jesus here, we need Bibles here, 10 Commandments there. And yet they are caught with the most depraved individuals or just pieces of material in itself. And it amazes me so that yes, he should be investigated. His equipment should be taken from him. He should be treated the same way a teacher would be treated. Just like all those teachers out there that were messing around with 15 and 16-year-olds like they're grown men. And yes, we sat there and might have had some comments, but those teachers got prosecuted to the full extent of the law. They got marked as sexual offenders, and for a lot of them, they did some jail time or got probation. Either way, they lost their teaching positions. The same type of prosecution should be leveled at this man. Whether or not he's innocent, he should get his due process because, whether you're an American citizen or not, in the U.S., you still get due process. Again, reading is fundamental. Conservatives should look into that. But we'll see what happens with that. But I just want to point out, it's always them. The same people that will point to another group of people and say they're the problem are literally the problem them freaking selves. But speaking of a problem, American Eagle has a problem. American Eagle might have just sat there and claimed to be Nazis.
And American Eagle are facing widespread backlash for the clothing company's latest ad campaign.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has very genes.
The play on words genes and genes as in genetics is sparking criticism from people accusing Sweeney and the brand of glorifying eugenics or white supremacy. So far, neither Sweeney nor American Eagle have addressed the controversy. Joining me now for more on this, Cheryl Overton. She is the Chief Experience Officer at her integrated marketing communications firm, Cheryl Overton Communications. Cheryl, good to have you. So first, let's listen to a bit of their reaction online, and then we'll chat on the other side.
Sydney Sweeney campaign is exactly the reason why we need DE&I in every corporation. Because what happens when you have a bunch of white folk who all look and think the same?
Those Sydney Sweeney American Eagle ads are weird, like fascist weird, like Nazi propaganda weird.
I'm starting to think we're one Sydney Sweeney campaign away from them taking our right to vote too.
Really dramatic, very visceral reaction. So tell us a little bit more about American Eagle's messaging here and why you think it's upset so many people.
Thanks so much. I mean, listen, it's running the gamut, as you saw from those TikToks. I think on the light end of things, people are sort of criticizing the creative itself. I mean, we all get genes and the double entendre, but is that really the most clever thing that teams can come up with? So I hear that. But then on the very extreme, I'm hearing it is absolutely playing into a history of eugenics and upholding a particular type of aesthetic as white is right. And that is not just offensive to me, that is very disturbing. I think given the overall political climate we're in this country, where Black and brown people feel absolutely underappreciated and under attack. So we're seeing the gamut of criticism on this campaign from the very light to the very heavy and opening up really serious conversations.
And on the polar opposite side, Cheryl, we're also seeing people who like the company's ad campaign and are siding with American Eagle. What are they saying?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that there are people, there's a couple of ways to think about it. She's popular. She is in the zeitgeist right now. She's beautiful. She fills out the jeans. And folks think, look, she looks good. And why not? I think there is also a message that of all of this, I'm not seeing highlighted. This particular pair of jeans that she's promoting, the proceeds benefit a domestic violence initiative. And that's a good thing, sort of buckled underneath this very severely that nobody is talking about. So people love it. I am of a school of thought that they're absolutely sending a message, a dog whistle, if you will, to folks who believe in these very conservative, anti-woke, if you will, sentiments. And we saw a bump in their stock performance right after this ad aired that has since gone down, but they might be talking to shareholders and they might be talking to folks who share a sentiment that this is the standard of beauty that we should all hold high and abide by. And if that's the case, then mission accomplished.
Cheryl, you are an expert in branding and helping companies. When a company finds itself in this kind of a fiery situation, what do you advise? How should they handle it?
Sure. Well, the first thing is it's sort of a tie to my last point. If you think, if you are regretful about this, and that might not be the case here, this might be the strategy. This might be a way to appeal to a very specific target audience and frankly, winnow away folks who are more interested in inclusive images. But if you are not of that school of thought and you believe that appealing to many is the best way to grow your share, a few things. Accountability. I think at this point, the apology is already late at this point. They have purposely not said anything public about it. And at this point, an apology might feel empty. But I do think an explanation as to how they got there, why they got there, and what they've learned from it is something we see in crisis and issues management that works well. Because the public is just so rabid and like very quick to see it, say it, point it out. I mean, we don't wait for a news cycle anymore. TikTok is 24/7. They're going to have to be as transparent as they can be and speak very plainly to their audience. As the first TikTok you said, people think this is what happens when nobody is willing to speak up in a meeting or where there is no cultural diversity on marketing teams. So their marketing team is going to have to speak up and say what they learned from this and why it won't happen again.
I sure hope I never have a brand crisis, but I know who I'll call. Cheryl, over.
So what's so crazy about this is, well, number one, the actual ad is still up, which tells you American Eagle doesn't care. Even the whole thing of, oh, well, I know it says jeans, but we're gonna mark down jeans because we want to do a play on words, because we're not eugenics. We're not talking about eugenics. We're not trying to say that blue eyes is a superior race. Oh no, it's not because of a blonde and she's white and she's pale and she believes she has great genes. I'm sure that's not the problem. And this is why I say American Eagle doesn't care. American Eagle doesn't care. And why some people, mostly white people, will not have a problem with this is because perception is reality. We will relate to what looks or feels normal to us. White people, let's be honest. You saw a overblown up blonde white woman in blue jeans because sex sells. And Sydney Sweeney, for, again, I don't know why this heifer's famous, but okay. But she's sitting there provocatively. I have great genes because I have blue eyes. This is why I sit there and say the entire time, American Eagle, just admit you're racist. And I know Matt Walsh, the Charlie Kirks, the Ben Shapiros out there will sit there and say, I don't see nothing wrong with this. I think it's fine. I think people are so culturally triggered because Shapiro is kind of like a computer that has to break up the data every now and then. It sounds like he's talking in Morse code. That's Shapiro. Matt Walsh, on the other hand, sounds like an idiot that couldn't stop staring at at her ad with both hands on the keyboard. I'm just saying. At the same time, guys, it never ceases to amaze me that American Eagle is not going to apologize, even though what you may call their how can I put this in so many words, that they may call their apology really wasn't an apology. If anything, it was them saying, get over it. Get over it. It is what it is. And at the same time, if you don't like it, well, don't shop there. Because people forget Tommy Hilfiger, Gucci, the makers of Cristal, Grey Goose Vodka. I can keep going down the list because the reason why I named all those products, each of those products can be tied back to the creator or designer saying, I didn't design this for Black people. Tommy Hilfiger, I did not design these clothes for Black people. And if you guys don't remember, Tommy Hilfiger used to be big among Black folks, including shows like New York Undercover, for starters. Tommy was being worn everywhere. Coogee was being worn everywhere. Gucci was being worn everywhere. And not just, your everyday people, celebrities that were rocking the polos, that were rocking the Gucci, the Ralph Laurens, all the name brands. And one by one, every one of those people, I didn't design this. Why are black people wearing my clothes? Cristal. We didn't design Cristal for black people. Remember Cristal? For all those that don't remember the early 2000s in the world of hip hop, Cristal used to be about 100 different songs. Can't find it no more. Nouveau, another one, used to be on multiple rap songs. Grey Goose, made popular by the crunk era of the East Side Boys. I'm on that Grey Goose. Do I know you? Again, it was a wonderful time. But every one of those products that other cultures consumed, they come to find out, we didn't make this for you. And what happened? They dropped them. But are folks still out there wearing Gucci? Yes. Are folks out there still wearing Prada? Yes. Are folks still out there wearing Tommy, Ralph Lauren, Nautica, all those brands out there? Yes, they're still being worn. But when it comes to American Eagle and H&M and all those other, I call them preppy ass white stores, folks will still go shop in them because, again, perception is everything. And the problem with American Eagle is they have no accountability because they see they did nothing wrong. And because they did nothing wrong, they went along and said, oh, we're going to mark this down as jeans with the same person so you understand that we're doubling down. I'm glad I don't shop at American Eagle because American Eagle doesn't give a shit about what they're trying to say. But I will say this. They're just one in a million long line of designers, of makeup and fragrances, folks out there. Because look at those commercials, those Christian Dior's, those Kim Kardashian or Chloe or whatever them came with that lip gloss stuff to make your lips fatter or some shit like that because they want to be so close to the black women. The point I'm getting at is they know who they marketed for, and they're trying to say it is not for you, it is for them. So again, if you can't see the problem with American Eagle, it's only because you secretly support it because you may have blue eyes. That also being said, guys, one of the last two stories we'll get to for our Feel Good segment. Again, it is amazing that what's going on in Gaza right now with the hunger strikes and things of that nature, that Taco believes that now is the good time to send food aid to Gaza for a problem that he created along with that welfare queen Netanyahu.
Tonight, as food aid is airdropped into Gaza, people rush into the ocean to grab aid packages that landed in the water. I almost drowned. I only did that for my boy, just to bring him something, said this father. Now an alarming assessment from the world's leading authority on measuring hunger, saying Gaza is enduring the worst-case scenario of famine, though it's not an official famine declaration, saying 20,000 children were treated for acute malnutrition in the last 3 months. Tonight, President Trump says the U.S. will send food aid.
I mean, they are starving. And you see the mothers, they love them so much. And there's just nothing. They say, we're going to get them food.
But blaming Hamas for stealing aid.
They send money, they send food, and Hamas steals it.
It comes as the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry says more than 60,000 Gazans have been killed since the Hamas October 7 terror attack started the war nearly 2 years ago. Hamas doesn't distinguish between combatants and civilians in its death toll. President Trump blames Hamas for blocking a ceasefire deal. And tonight, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying, quote, by one path or another, they'll bring home the hostages. Meanwhile, the UN says half the amount of requested aid is successfully entering Gaza. This isn't enough. Children are pale and turning into skeletons, this mother says. They've forgotten what eggs, meat, and fruit are. And the UK announced today that it will recognize the state of Palestine unless Israel agrees to a ceasefire by September and improves the situation in Gaza. President Trump said the UK's move would be rewarding Hamas. Tom?
It's amazing how Taco believes that, we need to start sending food aid to Gaza. You're sitting right next to the sole reason why we're all in this effing mess. Welfare queen, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, that dick, decided to go after Gaza / Hamas, bomb Gaza, forget the ceasefire, Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, the people in Gaza are starving. Oh, blame Hamas. They're taking everything. That's not, no. And I say this before and I'll say it again. We got no business in the Middle East. We don't. I still don't know why we support Israel outside of strategic. I mean, let's be honest. You only support Israel because of strategical in the area, to have military bases in the area. But I've said it once and I'll say it again. Had all Taco has to do, although he won't do it, but all he has to do is withdraw support from Israel. Tell Netanyahu, Heffa, you on your own. You want to go to war? You want to go to war with Hamas? You do it without us. And watch how quickly Netanyahu folds like a lawn chair. That's the real. Remember I said. Remember not too long ago in this podcast, I sat there and said, you know why white folks have no problem? Some have no problem going up to black people like they shouldn't have a little bit of fear. Safety. Oh, this black man won't attack me. This black man won't check me. Safety. Why does Netanyahu poke a bear at Hamas? Because he has the backing of the U.S. government behind him. Safety. Imagine if you pulled that safety away from Netanyahu. Oh, to face Hamas on your own without the U.S. government? Oh, yeah, you'll fold. Even more so, to starve out an entire country because of his war with Hamas is inhumane. But to sit there and say, well, look at the women and children, they need help. Yes, from a fire you helped cause. That instead of putting that fire out, you're going to try to work both ends like you don't know who's causing the problem and you're the one holding the matches. I'm sorry, Taco. It doesn't work that way. Either you're the aggressor or you're the savior, but you can't play both. As many times as you freaking tried. But the last story we got, guys, before we get to our feel good segment is there should be an award for least worked politician, or a politician that not even does the bare minimum, because we had all our jobs do the bare minimum. There is no need to go above and beyond because bosses these days don't award above and beyond. They don't. They just land more. They just give you more work. That being said, we should start doing politicians who don't even do the bare minimum. Enter Josh Hawley. This man, not too long ago, tried to introduce a bill to raise the minimum wage, saying that Americans, it's high time that we raise the minimum wage, and it got to crickets. Now, he wants to introduce a tariff rebate check to Americans in the form of $600 to every American man and woman. $600. That's his bill. And again, people are wondering, if you're wondering where the $600 is coming from, us. From the big, beautiful bill. See, it's not going to come from those. Again, if he said well, we're going to tax the rich, they're going to pay more so we can give more to you in the lower income classes. Oh, no. What we're going to do is we're going to take away from the big, beautiful bill and give you all $600 in stimulus. And I'm going to be honest about this when it comes to this crap. Outside of Senator Josh Hawley, he is a chicken hawk. He's stupid. He's a coward. He's an idiot. And a lot of people are going, but Will, I don't know about you, but when we got that $1,400, $1,500 check, it was needed. Okay. How long did it last? A day? A week? Maybe a week and a half? For a lot of people, that $1,500 was more like a fart in the wind. You might have covered one or two problems with it, but at the end of that, you still needed more. $600 in stimulus checks to the American people, pardon my French, it's a fucking joke. The minimum wage right now is $7.29. Sure, there are cities, some states that might have minimum wage at higher amounts, but the federal, the one that all states have to adhere to, is still $7.29. In 2025, you would have to have a salary of nearly $85,000 or more to afford a 2-bedroom apartment anywhere in the U.S. You cannot have a salary of $45,000. You cannot have a salary of $50,000. You have to have a salary of at least $80,000 to afford a 2-bedroom apartment to afford a vehicle, a mobile device, and to be able to feed yourself and be able to pay utility bills, that you would have to have a salary of that much, at least higher in other states. But that's the bare minimum. And Senator Josh Hawley believes that, oh, if we turn around and we give out rebate checks, this will be relief. I will say this with all the camaraderie that I can. Fuck you, Senator Hawley. $600. If you think $600 stimulated checks are enough, how about we lower your salary to that and see how long you last? It's the same people that believe that, hey, you know, your children should be working. Okay, yours first. Your kids should be going to sign up to the military. Okay, yours first. Because that's what they want to do. They don't want thinkers. They want workers, factory workers, if they can get them. Even more so, the fact that people have to work these days 2 or 3 jobs or multiple side hustles just to make ends meet. But a $600 rebate check is an insult. I'm sorry, a $600 stimulus check is an insult. Because unless you're giving them on a consistent basis, I'm sorry, $600 ain't cutting it. But that being said, guys, we are going to go on to our feel-good segment because usually how the Frack We Got Here, we do cover a lot of things that are doom and gloom. Sometimes make you fake humanity, but hey, it's Wednesday, tomorrow's Thursday, and we will leave you guys out some good vibrations, and hopefully I can do just that with a little bit of history today. As of this weekend, Bubba Wallace, the first black driver in NASCAR, won the Brickyard 400 in Indianapolis. As you can see there, pictured with the trophy. As he says, coming off turn 4, I knew I was going to get there unless we ran out of gas. I'm surprised I wasn't crying like a little baby. Now, the thing about this is, guys, is just that, number one, it's historical because, again, it's NASCAR. It's the napkin's last bastion to see a white guy win a trophy that doesn't include a black guy. So, again, it's all things except the fact I like to see us in areas that nobody likes, that people don't expect to see us in. NASCAR is one of them. I think NASCAR is great. I also love Formula One, love drift racing. I also want to see black men drop the stigma of gymnastics and go into places like the Olympics and effing dominate. Again, I can keep going on. This is a feel-good segment. But anyway, I want to show this interview with Bubba Wallace post his win at the Brickyard 400 in Indianapolis.
And so I can't, I know you're tired, you're hot, you're dehydrated. And
I can't hear because you're yelling in my ear.
Yeah. Tell me, you're emotional. I mean, you got a million things.
Yeah.
Right. Running through you. And I imagine you can't wait for this to sink in and get home and sit down and just let it, come to you.
Yeah.
But, talk about not only just how physical this race is, but also the emotions of winning it.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm about to say sounds like BS, but it wasn't too hot in the car.
Yeah.
I think, man, what an incredible opportunity for me to be a part of and then capitalize on. You see the 22 have an issue. I think he had a right rear, left rear flat. And in that moment, you don't know what happens, and you just run your own race. And the next thing you hear is you're the leader with 20 to go, and you're like, oh, damn, it felt like the race just started. Here we go. And I hate that I start counting the eggs before they hatch. I start thinking of who to thank, how big the celebration is going to be. And then I go in and miss the corner. Oh, like easy, like focus. And my car was going extremely loose. And I cannot drive these things loose at all. And I started thinking like, oh man, this is it. This is over with. Then I started thinking about my son. Started thinking about what MJ would say. And all of a sudden the car got better. And it was like, oh, okay. This is our race still. And so those last 20 laps was just a surreal moment for me to just be a part of and be in the passenger seat for, yes, I'm extremely wore out mentally, physically. And I didn't thank anybody. My mind is not there, but I appreciate Chumba Casino for coming on board, McDonald's, Air Force, Leidos, Robinhood, Toyota, Mobile One, Thankfully, the camera's right there. I can see everybody on my fire suit.
I feel like you were cheating a little bit right there.
For sure. It's been an incredibly fun but difficult journey. Thinking about when Blaney won the 600 after being in a drought and says, you don't know if you can do it anymore, right? It's going on 3 years and 4 years into 23. My last one was in the 45. We did it. That's the first thing my wife said to me, because we did it. And you don't know how many times I told myself I couldn't do it in those last 20 laps. And here we are. So I'm proud to stand up here and sit up here with you guys. And this shit is so hard. And I look in the mirror and I'm like, here we go with the 5. What's going to happen? And I thought under that first green white checker, to beat the best, you have to beat the best. We can all sit up here and say Kyle Larson is the best at the time right now. And it's an honor and a privilege to race with him. But I go back to what MJ said last year at Darlington. Things you want more cost more. Larson wasn't getting that from me, And so I just thank everybody. I thank my parents. I thank my mom. I know she was praying for fuel because fuel was a big issue, and we had enough. I thank my dad from day one. I had fun today, Dad. I had fun today.
That's so cool, Bubba. I think all of us up here, grew up racing with our family, and to see your emotion, I would tell you that I was a crier. So yeah. I appreciate what I'm seeing right now. Yeah. And I think it's the one thing that's important to explain to fans. And if you've ever been at a professional level of sports, is that a lot of times those emotions are from the work that you've put in, right?
100%.
And I think about I watched your wife, Amanda, come out, and I was like, because I've been there, right? And you see that first interaction. If you see her, and I'm like, oh man, he's not going to be able to keep it together. But it was such a special moment for us to share. And I'm going to tell you, all of us up here are going to agree that you being open and honest about the way you feel, we love that. Yeah, because that's what, that shows how much you care and what this means to you. And I love seeing your passion. And I know you got overwhelmed. You could say, I was like, he's going to pass out. He's going to pass out right there in front of all of us.
I said, is this the last time I sit down? Because I need just one motion. The ups and downs is getting to me. Also, I'd be remiss. Amanda's grandmother passed Friday night. And she was riding with us from the start of practice to qualifying and definitely in the race. And it's just crazy how life works out, man. This was the first ride around where I didn't hear the fans. I heard the wind. I heard the birds. It's a surreal feeling. I'm trying to walk you guys through it. Today was different. And very reminiscent of the feeling that I got in Kansas. I didn't hear any noise today. I just heard the opportunity and I seized it.
I love that so much. Kind of what Jamie said. I think one of the reasons I believe that this is such a popular win across the board in the garage is because you do take us along on the ride.
Yeah.
You take us along on your emotional ride when things go well, when things go bad. We've seen you be so close before in the Daytona 500 in races, and you have taken us along for those rides. How have those moments and those heartbreaks, how did those moments prepare you for what you had to do in the car against Kyle Larson?
I've been racing for 23 years. Everybody in motorsports knows we lose more than we win, right? And every loss you learn on all the things you did wrong. I was very frustrated yesterday in qualifying second, just because I felt like I left something out on the table. 1300's out on the table, right? And we're so competitive and it's so close, and so you push the absolute limits. And when you do come up short, you push yourself to learn why. And there was plenty of opportunities today where I gave up, and I didn't give up. I missed an opportunity and I lost out, and I learned from it. I didn't get down. I didn't get out. My mind wandered a little bit, and I told myself to refocus. There's still a lot of opportunity in front of us, and here we are.
I want to give you a piece of advice. You don't really need any, but
I need all that I can get.
this is the best advice that I think I got in moments like this. Enjoy every second of this.
Yeah.
Like the rest of this, all the media you're going to do after this moment, all the other moments you're going to have with your family and friends, your team, whatever party you may have tonight.
I'll send you guys the address.
Come on. Yeah. We'll get on over there. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Soak it all in.
Thank you.
You never do this again for the first time.
Yep.
And you also have, you're locked into the playoffs, and you can let all of that
Holy
pressure
shit.
roll off your back. I know what that feels like.
That's 3 years of frustration and stress right there.
Great feeling not having that pressure on you going in the next handful of races. So just take it all in, enjoy it, man. You can prepare for the next one in a day or two.
Yeah.
But give yourself about 24, 48 hours to have some fun.
What, we got 5 left?
But what did Michael say? What did my MJ say to you?
He was just so proud.
Yeah.
I said, I wish you were here for it. He was like, he's going to have a drink or two for me tonight. So we'll be celebrating together in spirit.
I guess, go ahead, Steve.
Well, I'm with Jamie. Listen, don't hold that emotion back because you've earned the right not to.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We've all been here and we've all felt it. You've earned the right to act like you want, to celebrate you want, to feel like you want, to be relieved, to be exhausted. You have earned the seat you're sitting in right now. So raise some hell. Have some fun.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
I think it's been remarkable how you've mentioned the no noise today, how you've put all that noise that you deal with more than anyone else in this sport. And you put that aside and been able to raise your performance to get this win today.
Thank you,
Amazing,
brother. Appreciate that.
You're
Parker.
awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming up here with us. How'd the bricks taste?
They were good. I told him, man, that's some competition right there.
And again, definitely congratulations to Bubba Wallace. Again, the first black driver in NASCAR to win the Brickyard 400. Definitely give that man his flowers. I don't blame you. Shoot, if I drove 400 laps and I win, shoot, I'm gonna be happy as a clam too. But again, shout out to Bubba Wallace for that win. But that's gonna do it for this podcast, guys. Thank you all for liking, for watching, for letting people know this is live. I certainly appreciate that. Before we do get out of here, guys, some shameless plugging as usual. Shout out to Always Press Record TV. Why? Because How the Frack We Got Here is seen on APR TV. We can be seen on the Roku channel or Amazon Fire TV. Definitely check them out at APR TV as well as other shows on the APR TV network. Also, BlurStation.com. Guys, you've heard me talk about Blur Station. Again, it is a table that has our viewership, our content. Most importantly, what should be happening, our dollars should be going to it. Definitely check out BlurStation.com, guys. It is $11.99 a month to stream Blur Station, $11.99 a month. If you want to check it out, please go to BlurStation.com, hit the join now button, and be able to go from there. But definitely check out BlurStation.com. And finally, run for office. I keep saying this all the time, guys. You want to know how the crazy people did it, how Moms for Liberty did it, how all the religious nuts did it? Sites like this. Basically, if you do feel the call to serve, whether it's local or national, you can definitely type in your address and run for office. They'll take the entire process of how to get elected to an office, how to get your name on a bid, and hopefully allow you to go ahead and run and hopefully win. But again, check out runforoffice.org. And I keep saying, guys, this year, if anything that we take away from this year, should let us know that we all need to be active. We all need to be informed. And if you do feel like you can help out your city, your state, or even your country, go for it. Who's stopping you? Certainly not Taco. But I keep saying this all the time. We must take action. We must be informed. Nobody cannot sit on the sidelines anymore. Outside that, you can check out How the Frack We Got Here on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok, Instagram. We're everywhere. Like, share, and follow. I keep telling you guys, we cannot do any of this without your support. Like, share. If you like what I said, cool. If you didn't like what I said, it's okay too. But at the same time, share and support if you do want to see us keep going because we're trying to build. At the same time, guys, I myself, Black_Spartan615, can be found on YouTube as well. Like and follow me as I usually do. I usually do reposts of the show and other shows that I do. And again, guys, your support is needed. Don't mind donations, but support is always needed. A like and a share costs nothing. Outside that, guys, again, midterms are next year. We say this all the time. We said with the presidential race last year. We're saying with the midterms next year. It is high time we do a lot more than where we're at right now. At the same time, Democrats, I know you guys are our only other choice because Republicans will listen to us. Democrats, do not wait until next year to finally get talking with your constituents. You want to fight back, get to know your districts, get to know your people. Understand you can run the Republicans through every process that there is. But If you want us to get to know you, drop the old guard, get progressive, and learn and talk to your constituents. That's how you win. That being said, guys, last thing I'll say about how the Frack We Got Here, it's all about staying informed. We are not trying to reinvent the wheel, guys. We are simply trying to give you all the information to make up your own mind, but we do provide a logical perspective that goes along with it. We do better as society once we're informed. We're progressive. We move forward. We try to right the wrongs of our past by making decisions now that really should have been done back then. Like electing our first black woman to the Supreme Court, electing our first black woman to the Federal Board of Governors, electing our first black woman, hopefully one day, to be called Madam President. All great things. When we don't learn from history, we are doomed to repeat it. That's what we keep asking ourselves. Why does everything go up at our paycheck? Why are we electing different politicians in Congress, but still the same old game is being played? And most importantly, how the frack we got here. Thank you all for watching, guys. Please take care of yourselves and each other, and I promise we will get through this. Have a good one, guys. Stay hydrated. The sun is still trying to kill us. Peace.